Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ox Talks. It is Saturday, April 27th, 2024. Hope all of you are having a great weekend so far, spending some quality time with family and loved ones, and also getting things accomplished that you otherwise, don't have time to attend to during typical busy work weeks. Want to discuss a few things today. You guys see Milo's in the background. I thought I would get him on camera for everybody who's been asking to see Milo. He's kind of lazy today, but he and I are hanging out here, just relaxing Saturday. Took the day off from the gym, which I typically do on Saturday, and I've just been getting some things accomplished. But I wanted to talk about a couple things that I've been thinking about over the last day or so, and then share some news as well, some economic news. I want to start by discussing the concept of situational awareness. And I'm going to explain a story in the title of the video about the situation that I had about a week and a half ago in front of my office one morning really early. But it's just an example of why we need to be so careful with situational awareness, knowing what's going on in our space, and not allowing people to get close enough to us they could do us harm, okay? And what precipitated today's discussion for me is JB yesterday morning had sent me a video, a YouTube video, and he sent it to me the night before last, and I woke up yesterday morning. I get up early every morning. I have coffee on the patio, and I respond to a lot of your comments, and I kind of catch up on what's going on with the markets. And so I clicked on this video. I was having a cup of coffee, and it's a very, very disturbing situation that happened, I think, last week, the week before, with a police officer in Las Cruces, Mexico. And the bottom line is, I mean, you guys can look at it for yourself if you can stomach it. It's very gruesome. And what happened was this officer responded to a trespassing call, and he didn't have any backup. He was by himself. And he approached this person who was standing on some private property, and and this thing was all caught. There were cameras on the property filming, and there was also, the officer had his body camera on. And this guy was standing with his arms crossed. He had a jacket on, and he couldn't see his hands. The officer appeared to be getting pretty close to this guy, and immediately this guy draws a butcher knife and literally goes to town. Gets the drop on this officer. The officer starts pedaling back, straight backwards, loses his balance, falls down. Again, this is all being captured on the body cam and on the cameras on the property. And it's horrific. Actually, it made me sick to my stomach. I'm almost sorry I watched it, because it influenced my whole day yesterday. I could not get this out of my mind. Anyway, it's the officer in this situation. He died. He got stabbed in the carotid artery, and he died there on the scene. Fortunately, there was a heroic individual who was, I think, a retired Army Ranger or something, who was there, who shot the attacker. But in any event, the point is, and it was on this YouTube video being broken down by these self-defense guys, explaining what this officer may have been able to do to try to avoid the situation, or once it unfolded, to possibly save his own life. He obviously never had a chance to draw his weapon. He was caught off guard. But and some of the lessons that they were explaining in that video is that the officer got too close. He didn't have any backup. He knew in this situation this guy was already trespassing, so he's probably going to be arrested anyway. So, why not take some other precaution, make him show his hands, make him, turn around, do all those things. Obviously, in this case, this officer's life was ended with this situation, and obviously the visual on this and the sound was also on. So it was all the sound was captured, and let me talk to you about this. You all probably have heard about the Tueller drill, where there's a lot of analysis out there where they've said, look at somebody with a knife can cover a distance of 21 feet in 1.5 seconds. And so when you're training with firearms, the old saying is you need to be able to draw your weapon and fire 2 shots center mass within 1.5 seconds. Or somebody with a knife, I think it's even done with a 200-pound male in this study. can cover that distance and be on you. So about a week and a half ago, this story happened. This happened to me. I get to my office early every morning, and when I show up, I'm usually, there's no one else around, and so I'm very cognizant of what's going on around me when I get out of my car, who's there, what's happening. Sometimes we do get some vagrants going through there in this area, and my office sits above a bank. Now, the bank's not open yet when I get to the office in the morning, but I'm always even more careful because, a bank is obviously a situation that could draw some attention as well by a criminal element, them thinking you have a key to the bank or whatever it is. So I got out of my car. I did not have anything in my hands. I usually or oftentimes have a cup of coffee or something. I walked around to the passenger side. I had a bag of papers or groceries in the passenger seat I wanted to get out. I opened the door, and again, I didn't see anybody. I turn around, I open the door, I reach into the vehicle, bend over, I pull out this bag, and I turn around, and there's a guy literally this close to my face, was right up on me, really, jumpy, and say, hey, can you have a cigarette? Asked if I had a cigarette, but obviously you could tell the guy was not normal, either was drugged up or something, speaking real fast. And then, obviously he caught me by surprise. I said, no. And he said, well, yeah, I would imagine a guy in your shape doesn't smoke. And he laughed and he basically walked away. But the moral of that story is I felt like I had failed big time because I did not see that person coming. I did not see them anywhere when I opened that car door and turned my back for literally, it was maybe 5 seconds. And this guy was on me. He got the drop on me. Had he, like this officer experienced in New Mexico last week, had he had a knife, had he had any kind of a weapon and wanted to attack me, the guy would have had me dead to rights. And I just wanted to share that story with you in light of that video that I watched yesterday, because it's so serious, and you have to take into consideration how somebody can close a distance on you so quickly when you don't see anything around you, you're paying attention, even if you're exercising situational awareness. So all I can say is we all have to take extra precaution. We know the crime is going up in this country. We know that we have a criminal element coming in, not only already in this country, but coming in the borders and taking up residents and camps all around our cities and our towns. And a lot of them are not here to be law-abiding people. They're not here to respect us or to be concerned about our personal safety. And so that is a story I want to share with you about being careful with situational awareness, and do not, and I swear I won't let it happen again, but do not let anybody close distance on you. I mean, if you're at a grocery store and someone approaches you, you need to take, whatever it is, but you need to obviously have a strong and very, very, let's say, aggressive verbal commands first, so that these people, whoever it is, knows that you are not going to be an easy victim. You're not going to be an easy target. I was that day, turn around, with my bent over, getting something out of my car. I was an immediate, easy target. If he wanted to, that was not his intention, and I got lucky. But you know what? You're not going to get lucky many times. So I'll share that. I'll move on from that rant. The next thing I want to talk to you about is I'm noticing more, and I want comments from all of you below. What you're seeing in your area. And I don't know what this means, but I'm seeing on the road more and more dilapidated vehicles. And I mean vehicles that are broke. They just look like they've been through a war zone. Bumpers hanging off, stuff hanging off the car, below the car when they're driving, huge dents, panels missing, windows broken and taped up. I mean, I am seeing, I know it depends on where you live. Obviously, if you're downtown LA in Skid Row area, that's gonna be common. But, in my area, this is not a common occurrence to see this. Yeah, you see, cars that are not well kept, but not just literally barely staying together. I'm seeing it with work vehicles, bumpers hanging off of work vehicles, huge, dents and panels broken off. And also, oftentimes, I'm going to generalize here, but it's what I notice. These same vehicles are the ones that are barreling down the street, at 20, 30 miles an hour over the speed limit, making aggressive lane changes. So I don't know. I mean, it's like it's Mad Max scenario, and I don't know what that means. I was discussing it with my family yesterday and asking if, they had noticed that. And I don't know if they were just placating me to say, yeah, we're seeing it too or not. But I'm noticing it. Let me know where you're at and if you're seeing that and what you think. A lot of it probably has to do with people just can't afford to fix their cars. They get into a little fender bender or they ding their car or something happens and they can't literally afford right now because everyone's so broke to fix the vehicles. I get it. There's some of that. But you also have these same vehicles that are just making very, very aggressive maneuvers on the road. Don't know what it means. I just wanted to put it out there because it was something on my mind in the last couple of weeks as I'm seeing that pick up in my area. Let's shift gears for a couple of minutes about economics. There was another bank that was seized by the FDIC on Friday after close of the markets. JB did a video on that. I think he released it today, so go check that out. I'm not going to repeat what he's talking about, but it was a Republic First Bank Corp out of Philadelphia, 32 branches across many states, and it was seized. So is this the beginning of a round 2 or round 3 of these bank failures, or is this just an isolated event? We'll have to see how the markets take this in the futures tomorrow night and how this plays out in the coming week with the Fed speak and all that. But another bank goes down. And I also want to discuss 2 other articles to discuss the banks. One is today out of the Daily Hodl. And it says JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America suffer $4.5 trillion write-off in uncollectible debt. It says the 2 largest banks in the U.S. say they expect to lose a collective $4.5 billion from customers who are essentially unable to pay their bills. They say that JP Morgan says its net charge-offs, which are debts that the bank does not expect to receive, hit $2 billion in the first quarter of this year. That's nearly twice the amount of unrecoverable debt compared to the same quarter, not the same time, same quarter last year. B of A says that it's going to write down or has a $1.5 billion in net charge-off, a surge from $807 million just a year prior. So again, that's almost double as well. B of A says those losses stem mainly from credit card debt that will never be paid back. So look these are consumers that have credit cards that they have run up, buying things for the most part that they don't need, that they shouldn't have been buying in the first place, and then they simply just don't pay it back. They just default on it. And so banks are taking huge write-downs on this debt. The banks don't just do nothing about this. They're going to keep raising rates. They're going to keep charging additional fees to those of us that are responsible with our credit limits, responsible with our credit cards, pay off our credit card balances every month, and try to maintain debt levels at 0 or far below your balance, far below your credit line. So those are the 2 of the biggest banks in the country that are seeing double, 200% of the write-downs that they saw just a year ago. That is not a good sign, a good indicator for the consumer. So all this BS about the consumer strong and the economy is strong, you hear stuff like this and you have to question the narrative. The last article I'll share with you briefly talks about China. And we've discussed on this channel all the time about how countries are moving away from the US dollar and how you're seeing a strong dollar index right now, but that this is going to reverse course. You know about the BRICS nations and that they're trying to de-dollarize and move away from the US control system and the US dollar. So this article is also from the Daily Hodl today. It says China dumps $74 billion in U.S. treasuries in 1 year as BRICS nations say they've abandoned the dollar in mutual trade. It says China has sold more than $74 billion in U.S. treasuries in the last year, according to new numbers from the Treasury Department. China has decreased its treasury holdings from 849 billion to 775 billion between the beginning of quarter 2 of 2023 and quarter 2 of 2024. Sorry, a couple flies around here. Its lowest holdings since 2009. So we have to go back, 15 years to find a point where China held this few U.S. treasuries. So the new data comes on as Russia's foreign minister Lavrov also says Russia and China have almost completely stopped using the dollar in their mutual trade. According to Lavrov, more than 90% of settlements between the countries are now carried out in their own national currencies, with their economic cooperation accelerating despite persistent attempts by Western countries to prevent this. So that's the last article I want to share with you today. I'll leave it there. It's about 15 minutes in length. I hope all of you have a great rest of your weekend. I'll try to put a video up tomorrow if I can. I have a brutal project starting on Monday after a court appearance. It's probably going to take me about a week and a half to put together and file. But I'm going to be getting videos up. Appreciate all of you watching the videos, subscribing. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Like and share these with as many family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues as you can. Please take that story I share with you about getting the drop on you. Please take that story about not allowing people to close space on you. And another thing was that they shared in the YouTube analysis with that officer is they were saying, if he could have at least not stepped straight back and he lost his balance, he had gear on, but had he been able to at least make a sidestep, a lateral move, he could have bought himself maybe an extra couple seconds to have the guy get by him, avoid that knife, and draw the weapon. So all these things are so important. It's overwhelming, but it's things that we have to take seriously. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon. Bye.